Sandy, laminate, all that stuff.
I was so upset when I bought
No, don't put them in there yet. Set them on the table right there. Just set them on the table right there. Yeah. You have to put them in organized. Okay, look around in here. See if there's stuff that you want. You just want to have a hook on them, right? There. You basically hook
Good
it in
afternoon.
like you do worms. Okay, so you run your hook through it, but then you want to take your line.
Let me get over to my chat.
So you want to take a tie. You just want to
Hey, Lily.
your line about those.
Thank you for being here like normal. We'll let some people come in. Of course, my glasses are being funky like normal.
So basically, when you're creating, you're taking line on it.
Sorry if you can hear the dog chomping on his toy over here. You better not be eating it.
You want to do your tie line on it. Your tie to it. But you
It's not food, you weirdo.
this on the ground. Tie it.
Aw, did I hurt your feelings by saying don't eat your toy? He does this.
Okay, so you want one of those, you have one of those. There's a couple more down there. Try it. Yeah, there's a couple more down there.
So yesterday was mine and Lily's birthday.
Try it. But if you
We
don't-
had cake and had my son, well, both of my boys and her youngest here for a little bit, which was cool. So yeah, yeah, we're a year older. But she turned the age before me, so haha, you're older. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this meeting, shall we? Let me make sure I'm live over here. Okay, I am. Good. Hello, I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome also. Please be mindful of others in the chat. Don't pass judgment. Be kind to each other. If you don't feel like chatting in the chat, you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. If you could just leave a like and subscribe for the notifications for the next live streams, that would be great. But I completely understand if you don't want to be in the chat. Not everybody does, so that's how I keep it to where it's confidential. If you want to be in the chat, that's fine. If not, it's all right. So let's go ahead and get into this meeting. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I always get my steps and traditions here in the front of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. I know them by heart, so. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, I admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed, become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, I always put in the description, which on YouTube is more under the name of the live stream. And if you push the more, it will tell you what book we're in and the story we're reading and the page. So we are reading the Big Book of AA, and we are on Building a New Life, 476. I fell down a couple days ago, had to go to emergency. I've got 6 stitches in my knee, twisted my opposite ankle, and that's why I fell on my knee. And I caught myself with my arm, and my shoulder is messed up now too. So when I go to the doctor, I'm gonna have him check my shoulder because it hurts like crazy. Anyway, and so you know, yes, I was sober when it happened. I'm just clumsy. I admit it. Need bubble wrap. Anyway, building a new life. Hallucinating and restrained by sheriff's deputies and hospital staff, this once happy family man received an unexpected gift from God, a firm foundation in sobriety, and would hold up through good times and bad. We had been in the fields all day baling hay. When the work was done, the men brought out a gallon of muscatel. I took a few drinks because I wanted to be like the men, and for a few minutes I felt like one of them. Then I fell asleep under the outdoor table where my mother fed the workers. When I was found, they carried me into bed, and the next day I got a scolding. I was 6 years old. 6 years old. My early years were spent on my aunt and uncle's farm. They raised me after my father and mother divorced. My father kept my 2 brothers and 2 sisters. My grandmother took me, the baby. And when raising a baby was too much for her, I ended up on the farm. Life was hard work in those days. We ate what we grew ourselves, plus the few stores items we traded for. By age 8, I was guiding a horse-drawn plow by myself. In the family and in our farming community, we spoke only Spanish. It wasn't until I went to school that I was forced to speak English and was told that speaking Spanish wasn't right. I never felt I was as smart as the other kids or as good as anyone else. On the farm, I knew I could do anything. In school, it was a different story. At 13, I was tall, strong, and looked older. My aunt and uncle had sent me to live with a family in a larger town to get schooling. They hoped would help me. I went around with guys who were 18, and they took me to Halloween party. I almost choked on the first sip of the whiskey they were passing around. But by the second sip, I thought it was pretty good stuff. It made me feel like one of the guys. It didn't matter that I was only 13. I felt just as old as they were. By the end of the night, I had passed out in the outhouse and had to be carried home by a friend. By 15, picking produce in the summer to earn money, I was sneaking out nightly to drink beer in the fields with the other pickers. Primed with beer, I could talk to girls and go to dances. I was just like everyone else. I could enjoy the day. I was the equal of others, even if they were older. The next summer, I began working construction during school vacation. I was working with the older men, and at the end of the day, I went to the bar with them. The bartender would put a beer in front of the man next to me, but it was intended for me. I loved Fridays, payday, when we went out and got loaded. I started getting liquor on weekends so I could go to dances. I was hanging around with guys who drank like me. We put our money together to get enough booze for the night. And because I looked older, I bought the liquor. I could talk to the girls. I was a big shot with the guys because I had the booze and the girls. 2 days before Christmas, I was on the way to basic training. On the train next to the last stop, my buddies from home and I got off and rushed to the bar to buy liquor to celebrate Christmas because on the train we were warned that the MPs were throwing bottles out the windows, so we drank ours hard and fast and got loaded. After basic, we were sent to different bases. I didn't drink often because I wanted to get ahead, but every time I drank, wouldn't stop until everything was gone. I didn't know how to say, I'm going to quit now. At home on leave, I married a young woman from my hometown, and our first daughter was born the next year. When I came home from the airport soon after, the party really started. A big hero like me, I drank only on weekends at first, drinking and dancing with my old buddies and their new wives. The only car accident I was in while drunk happened that year. It was a hit and run on a parked car, and my buddy just pulled the car fender off the front of my car, and we kept on driving. The next morning we looked in the paper to see if the accident was mentioned. It wasn't, and we were never found out. The same construction company for I had worked for in the summers as a high school kid hired me as an apprentice carpenter. I was smart and learned fast. Then I got too smart and forgot all the company had done for me. I complained to them about money I thought they had promised and they fired me. Using the GI Bill, I went into mechanic school at night and got a job with the city. That's when I really started drinking. These guys had a ritual as soon as they got to work. They bought a bottle of wine at first. I didn't participate. I didn't drink wine. Not a tough guy like me. But then one day I decided I might as well drink. I had a couple and I liked it. For the next few years, I drank every day. Finally, I was injured on the job and sent home for a week, but I was supposed to call every day, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was drunk every day. On the fourth day, the boss came to my house and checked on me. I wasn't there, but I returned drunk before they left. They didn't say anything, but the next day, the union leader told me I was going to get fired. I went to City Hall and resigned. 3 more daughters had been born, and my wife and me during those years. I was filled with remorse, guilt, and fear because I didn't have a job. I knew I had screwed up. There was no unemployment then. To my mind, it was bad luck, not me. I took whatever construction work I could get, even non-union, whatever there was. My first son was born and my second son 2 years later. I had recovered my pride and wondered why I should make all this money for other people. I thought I should become a contractor and make it for myself. So I took the exam and got my license. I curtailed my drinking a little bit, and business started getting good. So I started drinking more. I'd go to the bar and leave my crews working by themselves. By the third year, I spent all my time in bars. I couldn't finish the jobs I had, and I had spent all the money. I was in bad shape. I was full-blown alcoholic. Blaming God and bad luck, had been, it had me down. I just couldn't get back up, and I lost my business. This one's kind of long, so I might not make it through the whole thing. For the next 3 years, I was working odd jobs. 2 days here, 3 days there. I was barely making it. With a big family to support, I didn't bring home enough. I drank it up. My wife was gripping and cussing, and I just wanted to get away from it all. I started taking jobs out of town. One time I was a foreman for an aluminum siding company. I don't know how we got jobs finished. Every morning I was hungover sick. The workers would have to wait for me to start. At noon, I would go to the bar to fix myself up, and then I would party at night. There was only fighting at home, and I finally moved out so the kids wouldn't see me drunk. Now I can really drink, I thought. My wife went on welfare, and I even stopped contributing after a while. I had to have enough to drink. I continued to work construction, but I wasn't very dependable. I worked okay for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I wouldn't want to get up in the morning. I'll get another job, I would think, but I always got fired. A few years later, I was arrested driving while intoxicated, but it was reduced to reckless driving with the help of a state police buddy of mine. I was told, however, that if I had one more offense, they would take my license away. That was at the same time as my first try at AA. I couldn't get sober, and I couldn't get drunk. I was feeling scared, remorseful, guilty. I ran to a hamburger stand near my apartment, looked in the phone book for the number of a clubhouse for AA, and gave them a call. Two men came to my apartment and stayed with me, drinking coffee until after the bars closed. They kept coming, taking me to meetings for a month. I thought I was doing okay, so I didn't need it anymore. It felt like those two guys were after me, bothering me too much. So I got drunk to get back at them. After that, I moved to California. My kids were on welfare while I was touring all over. I never knew anyone could make the money I made in union construction jobs in California, so I drank it up. I didn't feel bad about the kids because I was drunk all the time. I sent them presents. When I got sober, I felt bad about them, so I drank again. I couldn't stand being sober because I couldn't stand thinking about how I hadn't taken care of my own kids. I did a lot of drinking on the job. Carpenters worked in shorts and had coolers of beer. There were beer cans all around the job site. I would go to the all-night store early every morning to buy a bottle of wine for my thermos to keep me going until lunch. Then I'd buy wine at lunch for the afternoon. And on my way home, I'd buy a six-pack of beer and a bottle of wine for my evening. That was the cycle of my life. Once I was stopped because my truck was weaving while I was driving home from a friend's house, and they gave me a DWI. It meant a $300 fine and 1 year of probation, and I didn't think I would make it. So I decided to move back home. I spent 3 months on unemployment, which to me meant 3 months of partying. When the money ran out, I looked for a job. Even though my California union card meant nothing, I got a job as a foreman back with my first employer. I look back on the now and I think, was God good to me or what? And I was blaming God all of this time for my troubles. Since it was my first job in some 3 months, I celebrated staying drunk. I would go to the job site and get the workers set up, then take off to drink. This lasted until the day I pulled off the owner of the company we were working for and got fired. The job put me on the union hiring list, however, and I got good jobs with good companies. I began to try to get sober. Sometimes I could last for a week or two, then I would get drunk again. I was seeing the kids a lot then. I moved into an apartment behind my wife's house. sharing it with my father-in-law. My daughters were married by then, and my 4 sons in junior high school. I wasn't included in family events, but I was there. The year I spent, oh, that year I went to an alcohol treatment program twice. The first time I was in treatment, I was shaving at the mirror in the bathroom, and it seemed to me that my beard was growing back in as fast as I could shave it off. Even though I was in a hospital gown, I escaped running down the street and jumping up and over fences. I was on the porch of a woman's house banging on the door for her to let me in when the police arrived. I tried to convince them she was my wife and my children were inside, but they saw the hospital bracelet on my wrist and they took me back to the program. Those were the days when they strapped you down to protect you when you went into DT. They were the worst GTs I had ever experienced. I had never been so scared in my life. I thought gangsters were after me and they were going to kill me. They had me tied down, so I tried to be very quiet and hide so they wouldn't find me. The doctor told me that if I went into DT like that again, I might not come out. I stayed sober 3 months after that experience, going to some AA meetings. Then I drank again. A few months later, I was back in the treatment program, not as sick this time, and I stayed sober for 3 more months. Then I went on a 20-day binge. I was filled with fear and I couldn't walk. I had to crawl to make it to the bathroom. I eventually cleaned myself up and managed to work. Then a Thanksgiving party on the job started me back drinking every day through Christmas. I was laid off after that. Then I really got down to some serious drinking. By mid-January, I was having hallucinations that would not go away. I called a residential treatment program and said I wanted help. They told me I could be admitted in 3 days. I drank to maintain for those 3 days. Amazingly, I knew that once I got to the program, drinking would be over. One of my daughters drove me to the program and helped me fill out the paperwork. I almost fell down going into the building. My hallucinations began again, and the staff moved me to a room with a padded floor they called the TV room. I began to think I was in prison and these guys wanted to kill me. When they opened the door to the room, I ran for a window down the hall thinking I would escape. They grabbed me, afraid I would try to jump through it. I kept hitting my shoulder against the wall, trying to break out and pick at nails with my fingertips until they were raw. The staff called the sheriff's department and it took 3 deputies, 2 counselors, and 2 nurses to hold me down and give me a shot. Finally, I lay there quietly, ready to die like a man. I'm going to finish it. It was 3 days later when I woke up, naked and stinking. They cleaned me up and I felt great. I'd never felt so good, like I never had a drink. I went to the treatment session and listened to everything that was said. They took us out to AA meetings. I wanted what the AAs had. I don't think I ever wanted anything as much as I wanted the program. I saw men dressed in suits in those days, looking good, not entered not entered my mind since. I've thought of doing some crazy things, but never about taking a drink. To me, sobriety is a gift from God to me. If I drank, it would be giving the gift back. If you return a gift, the person takes it back, right? If God takes it back, I'm dead. In my first year in AA, I was going to at least 7 meetings a week. I just loved it. I dressed up in suits like the men I had seen. I went to work building a mall, and there was an AA member working there who had 8 years of sobriety, and we would share together every day. I know now God put that guy there for me. During that year, I was offered a job with the city and one with the construction company out of town. My sponsor counseled me to stay where I had the support. I had to take this hoodie off. Don't worry, I have another shirt on. Getting a little warm. Okay.
Okay, now, what I need to
Trying to find my spot again.
do.
My sponsor counseled me to stay where I had the support of my group and my AA friends. I was too young in the program for an adventure. I went with the city and am now retired from there. A guy like me with one employer for 18 years. Once I was sober, my wife took me back. I felt that I had to go back to take care of my kids. I had once left on welfare. My third son is our AA baby. I also got to see all our boys play sports. There were other AAs with kids on the team, and we would hang around together at the games. I really enjoyed myself. My sobriety baby is now in college. I have beautiful relationships with all my kids. Pushed by my sponsor, I got into service work right away, and I really enjoyed it. Now I am a general service representative of a Spanish-speaking group, learning how to express myself about this great gift of sobriety in my original program, or in my original language. There have been some hard times, too, during these years of sobriety. When I was 5 years sober, the daughter who drove me to the treatment program and helped me get admitted disappeared. My AA friends helped me search for her, but she has never been found. Her mother and I raised her 3 daughters. I did not have to take a drink. I went to lots of meetings to relieve the pain. When I lost a second daughter to cancer a few years ago, I did the same thing. What I've learned is that it doesn't matter what hardship and losses I've endured in sobriety. I have not had to go back to drinking. As long as I work the program, keep being of service, go to meetings, and keep my spiritual life together, I can live a decent life. When I look back now, I think I stopped maturing at 15 when I started to get drunk with the older guys. I wanted to feel at peace with myself and comfortable with other people. I never found it in drinking. The belonging I always wanted, I have found in AA, and in sobriety, I don't think about drinking. God is there, my sponsor is there, all the credit belongs to God. On my own, I could not have quit. I know I tried it. And that's the truth. For me, I don't think I would be sitting here 10 years of sobriety without having AA. My sponsor, my group, all of my AA friends, and all the people that I've met since getting sober. I've got two besties that have gone through the same stuff. So it's great to have those friends and have people that are able to help me to stay sober as I help them as well. And that's what AA has done for me, is it's made me aware of my surroundings, being sober, and knowing I don't have to drink, and I can make it through the day no matter how hard it is. Every day that I am sober is a great day. I never want to go back to that person I was before. I wasn't nice. I did stupid crap. I did drink and drive once. Well, I drank and then drove once, and I swear I'd never do that again. And but I always said that I would become the alcoholic that I knew I would be, because I was scared to become that person. And then I became that person when I was in my 30s. And it's like my 30s are blurry, I wish I could have it back, but I can't, because you can only go forward. But I have it right here. The things that I did in those years, the people I hurt, the struggling we went through. I try to keep my family, my friends. I don't have the old friends anymore. I do have a couple, but not all of them, because I lost some of them to wanting to do drugs, or they're still in their alcoholic days. But finding AA was the best blessing for me. I have been able to see so many wonderful things through clear eyes and have my true emotions come through. Crying those happy tears when both of my boys graduated. Both of them have college credits. They both have diplomas. They didn't do it the same way. They did it their own way. And I had a lot of things happen since I've been sober that I wouldn't remember if I wasn't sober.
What year was it?
It was a good birthday. The day before, however, was not so great. Yeah, our birthday was good. The day was a mix of confrontations and changing the narrative of the day, in the evening. But yeah, it was still a good day. I got to see both of my boys and my sister and her youngest, and tonight we're going to dinner with my bestie, my best friend. Um, Three of us are very excited for that. I haven't seen her in a long time. Super excited. I missed her a lot. Um, but yeah. She makes these bracelets. She found these pink stones. I don't know if you can see the color, but they're pink and blue and purple. Um, and like pearls. But she's made these for me, and um, I love them. She does them to order. So if you ever want to order any, just leave a comment in one of my videos about colors and stuff. And she said she charges $10 for each one. So, but she takes her time on it and does exactly what somebody wants. But this is all on her own. I didn't tell her what colors or anything, but she knows me very well. Um, we've known each other for 4 years now, I think. Oh yeah. But yeah. So and I don't think it was fair that they made him change his language, but it's also in the end of his drinking days, and he was able to get sober and finally start a meeting of his own in his own language. It's awesome because I too had a friend that I met in AA that started his own Spanish speaking AA meetings. And I thought that was pretty cool that he was willing to do that. And I'm not sure if he's still doing those, but if he is, I still think it's awesome. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to read the daily reflection and then let you guys go on about your day. If you want to have the book and stuff and you don't want to pay for it, get the daily reflection. Most of those apps have the reading books in there. The app I have does. It also has it where you can listen to them. It has literature and pamphlets, and it has online meeting finder and nightly review, gratitude list. Tap and share this app with friends. So yeah. Anyways, today is March 29th, 2025. Trusted servants. They are servants. Theirs is the sometimes thankless privilege of doing the group's tours. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 134. In Zorba, the Greek, Nikos Kazantzakis describes an encounter between his principal character and an old man basely at work planting a tree. What is it you are doing? Zorba asked. The old man replies, You can see very well what I'm doing, my son. I'm planting a tree. But why plant a tree? Zorba asked, if you won't be able to see it bear fruit. And the old man answered, I, my son, live as though I were never going to die. The response brings a faint smile to Zorba's lips, and as he walked away, he exclaimed with a note of irony, "How strange! I live as though I were going to die tomorrow." As a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I have found that I haven't been live. Okay, whatever. Facebook stopped my live stream. I didn't know. Oh well. I have found that the third legacy is fertile soil in which to plant the tree of my sobriety. The fruits I harvest are wonderful peace, security, understanding, and 24 hours of eternal fulfillment, and with the soundness of mind to listen to the voice of my conscience when, in silence, it gently speaks to me, saying, "You must let go in service. There are others who must plant and harvest." And with that, I'm going to let you all go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Message me. That would be great if we could do that, though, for sure.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm trying to end the live stream. My computer's slow. Very, very slow. Alright, here we go. Love you guys. Thank you for being here.